Most people totally overcomplicate starting a business. So in this video, I want to talk about a simple way to find business ideas that actually work. That is the difference here. Not just how to come up with silly, fun business ideas, but how to find ones that actually work, that actually put cash in your pockets. And it's really easy. We all start there with just coming up with these crazy ideas. What if you had an app that could do this? What about like a flying whatever thingy that doesn't exist yet and crazy technology that you don't know how to make? We've all had those ideas, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a system that I am taking the terminology from a podcast that I really enjoyed, and it taught me this about 7 years ago. The podcast is called Tropical MBA, so credit goes to them. And this system for finding good business ideas, they call Rip, Pivot, Jam. And that's the terminology I'm going to be talking about in this video to explain how to find rock solid business ideas all day long. And if these videos are valuable to you, I'd really appreciate it if you can smash the like button and drop comments on the video. It helps to feed the YouTube algorithm. So hopefully this channel can get out there further so I know that it's worth my time. So this concept for finding business ideas works across any industry and it will always work. And that sounds a little too good to be true. Stick with me. I promise this actually makes sense. And this is something I've personally used a ton of times. And this is something that you've seen work in a million different businesses without directly thinking about this as the way it happened. So a quick overview of what this Rip Pivot Jam model is, and then I'll dive into each section further. So Rip Pivot Jam means find your existing business, find something that's already working out there, rip it, take it, and then pivot. Find a new angle, find something you could be doing better, find a way to switch it up, your way of cutting through. And then jam is the grind, put in the work, full speed ahead once you find your unique angle. So the rip section comes down to not reinventing the wheel, not, brainstorming all these unbelievable, crazy ideas, but rather than that, look at what's already working. Look at businesses that are already out there, that are already doing something that you could do, and they're already profitable, they're already doing well. The advantage of starting there is that your risk goes from up here to very, very, very low when you're getting into something that's already proven. A lot of times in business, people think that competition is bad and we want to have no competition. We just want to be the only ones with our idea ever and absolutely dominate, and we're the only ones. But competition is proving that they're proving what you're about to do for you. So existing competitors that already exist before you're going into a business, they are just proving that it can work. And the more successful they are, the more that they've proven your potential idea. And so rather than going into a complete unknown, if you start with the rip, if you start by taking something that's already existing and working and profitable and running smoothly, and you use that as your starting point, your overall risk in this business is going way down because you're doing something that's already proven to work. And in terms of, say, selling products on Amazon, since a lot of my audience follows me for that, this would mean evaluating the market you're going into, which is something that I talk about all the time. You're not just blindly going to start selling something on Amazon that you have no idea about. You're going into a market where you know that there's cash already flowing. You know that there's people buying this type of product. You know that there's money flowing there, and you start there. And look, so if you just copy something that's already out there and working, that's not going to do it. But that is going to be a better starting point. And that's where the second step comes in, which is pivot. And pivot is about shifting this business a little bit, finding those points that you can improve on something that is already out there. Are you doing some kind of like local business with delivery or something, and say everybody out there just has a phone number on their truck and it looks terrible and nobody picks up the phone, and that's the only way to do it. And then you come into a market like that and you set up online appointments and same day everything, and everything is super automated. That would be an example of a pivot. Those guys are already making a bunch of money and they suck. Let me switch it up a little bit and do a better job of what they're doing. And the exact same thing applies in, say, Amazon and e-commerce and selling physical products. This is what we always talk about as differentiation. You find an existing market, you find your tweak, you find your angle, you find where there is a need that is not yet being fulfilled, or you find where they're not doing a good job. Is this product breaking? Is it slow? Does it stop working? Is it not big enough? Is it too small? Is it, what is it? What's wrong? And how can I take the feedback from what's already out there in the marketplace from these existing businesses and use that to find my pivot so I can go in and do it better? And then the jam step is pretty self-explanatory, but this is once you find something that's working, once you tweak it to make it yours so that you can have a unique offer in the marketplace that sets you apart and makes people buy from you, then it's jam. It's full speed ahead. This is not just to be an inspirational, motivational type of video, but this is the Gary V. This is the grind. This is the getting it done. This is the step by step, the every single day building something up brick by brick over time until it's something meaningful. Because it goes without saying, an idea is just an idea, and to put an idea into the world and make it a thing, you have to be doing a lot of mundane steps and a lot of just day-to-day grind, and that is the jam. And I think they describe this really elegantly with the Rip Pivot Jam sort of definitions, which is why I'm using it in this video rather than just talking about this abstractly, because for me it implies sort of a quickness and a agility, which I think is really important, especially in the internet business era that we're in. You don't have to go to your local whatever chamber of commerce with a 20-page business plan to start a business now. You just need to be like, boom, that's working. I can do this and jam. And then if it doesn't work, back to the beginning, do it again until you sort of find your thing. And then when it works, you keep jamming. And it's also important to note this advice is not for everybody at every stage of life and business. This, I think, most applies to, say, your first one or two businesses. This is what I've done so far. This is what works to get cash flow and to get money and to free yourself of the job, to free yourself of school, to create the lifestyle that you're trying to design. I think these are the types of businesses that do that. These are the types of businesses that can make you, $50,000 a year to replace your salary and to quit your job that you don't like. Or this can make you $100,000 a year or $250,000 a year or $500,000 a year. But then there's another sort of category of businesses that, they get funding and venture capital and they go out and create absolutely new things in the world, and they go for the moonshot. They go for something completely unproven, completely new, completely revolutionary. It requires a lot of time and lawyers and engineers and all this stuff to make it happen. And if that's the path you're on, if you're on the path of just trying to make the most impact in the world and you want to just do something absolutely big and shoot for the moon and you don't care about your sort of just building your own life, maybe that is the way you go. Or maybe that's the way you go once you have money. Once you have money from your first couple of businesses, then maybe you go for the big one. But you have to realize if you're just trying to get rich, not just to be okay, but if you're trying to do well, you probably don't have to do something nearly as revolutionary as you think. You just need to find your little niche with passionate customers and serve them something slightly different that makes it right. It makes it fit into that niche and fit what those people are looking for. That's the pivot. And again, a lot of times the pivot can just be bringing your industry, bringing your product into the 21st century. Sometimes it's just silly, the world that I feel like we're playing this online business game with. It's like stuff that just doesn't even have anything written and terrible photos and terrible everything. This applies on Amazon. This applies in local businesses. This applies in almost every type of business. And you just look at your competition and you realize that your competition is not very competent. Those words are pretty similar. That's interesting. I didn't plan that, but your competition is often not competent, and that's room for the pivot. That's room to take what's working, rip what's working, shift it, pivot it, and then full speed ahead, go with a business that is proven, that you can do better, and you're just off to the races because you're competing with a different class of business people. And again, for the Amazon people that are following me, this is what we already talk about. This is just a framework for what we're doing. We're looking at products that are already selling, we're putting our spin on it, and then we're getting them out there better than the competition already is. So personally, I think the Rip Pivot Jam model is where you should start. It's where I've started. I'm even working on a new business right now that I would say is a Rip Pivot Jam model. That's a product I'll be talking about pretty openly. I'm doing a bit of a passion project. That's more to come on that. But it totally is an example of the same thing. There's a product out there that they're just not doing it well enough. And I know that we can just come in, pivot it, do it better, and boom, we're just taking that market. So let me know in the comments of this video, what do you think of this Rip Pivot Jam model? I'll be sure to link up the Tropical MBA podcast in the description. One of my favorite business podcasts, actually the first business podcast I ever listened to. So in a way, it's kind of responsible for all of this. I found it years back, and it really helped a lot with getting started. If you like this video, definitely do smash the like button. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Hit that bell so you get notified when I post. And check out the links in the description. There is a free Facebook group and a bunch of other resources and things you can check out. You can also follow me on Instagram at Matt Loberstein. And hope you liked the video. See you next time.